because as we'll show tonight, I mean, there's all these different segments and these groups that form that seem like they're alternative. They seem like they're... Give me a second here. Here comes the network. Hang on. Let me see here. Fuck. Stand by. Here comes freedomslips.com right now.
That's it. That's all it is.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. #1 listener-supported radio. The printing press for freedom at a time when freedom is needed the most.
Right now.
Join me at Revolution Radio, Studio B, at 11 a.m. on Saturday for Free Association, when we take a look at philosophy, spirituality, psychology, social issues, and geopolitics. It's every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Studio B at freedomslips.com.
What is going on here? I demand an explanation.
We work for a highly funded yet unofficial government agency.
An intelligence organization that fears intelligence, historically not awesome.
The United States is a democratic nation. Here the people rule. We build no walls to keep them in, nor organize any system of police to keep them mute.
Freedom isn't free at all, but it comes with the highest of costs.
We have you, the listeners, and the hosts at
Revolution Radio,
for allowing us to bring you a platform of free speech.
CPR Street Gang, this is all fighting. Standing by, over.
is GroundZeroPlus.com. Polynation Broadcast is live on the air. You're listening to Moonscapes 2703 BC by the Orb. Heavy moon theme today, folks. And yes, indeed, PPP. It's the Polynation broadcast. Welcome to the greenhouse, folks. Like I said, the tides have turned. It's a moon-heavy show today because today's the 20th of July. And in case you forgot, that's the day you landed on the moon. It's a hot topic. Some people say it's all fake. Stanley Kubrick, the whole thing. I get it. I get both sides of the argument. We're not going to solve that riddle today. I just want to point out some things that are maybe lesser known about the moon that really freak me out. Like these numbers, I guess you could call them for now, and ratios are simply not coincidence. It's impossible for it to be coincidence. Well, it's not impossible. I think the odds are like 1 in 7 quintillion that it's coincidence. You have better odds of winning the lottery 3 times in your life and also your children winning the lottery another 10 times. The moon's always fascinated me, and there's never anything old to talk about, at least not as old as the moon. Nobody knows where it came from. I mean, there's theories, but it's not proven. It's just theories. It's like gravity. It's just a theory. Apparently, the moon controls the tides. Well, it's the most likely explanation. No one's given me another one. Well, there's some flat earth retards that gave me this thing where they said that the tides were controlled by machines that are hidden on the ocean floor. And, well, we all know where that conversation went. I left and shut the door. But there is something enigmatic about the moon that I'm fascinated by it. I've photographed it many times. I've seen some incredible photography, not done by myself, but a man named, I don't think this is his real name. At least I hope it isn't. His YouTube channel is called Crow777, and he's got a really good telescope, and he's been watching the moon for a long time, and he's also got a really good solar telescope, and some of his solar footage it's off the charts. It's as good, if not better, than NASA's. And he's got some interesting footage of things happening on the moon. Various crafts and stuff. Some appearing to come out of tunnels in the moon's surface, fly across, and then jet around to the other side of the moon. And there's been stories recently in the media, well, if you call NASA media, that they've discovered that the moon is in fact hollow, which is a bit misleading, and I'll get into that later. There's parts of it that are hollow. You know that old saying, the moon is made of cheese? It's kind of like that, which is kind of strange if you think about it, how old that rhyme is. And it was just meant to be taken as like silly because the moon's got holes in it like Swiss cheese or craters. But it's actually true. It's not hollow like a tennis ball. It's got lava tubes in it. Got some clips. Some clips that'll back me up in what I'm saying by people way smarter than me when it comes to the moon and its ratios and, in fact, the sacred geometry that is literally, pockmarked the moon. It's all over the place on the moon. From the number 432 to its radius, its diameter, its cycles, its distances from the sun. There's so much to unpack. And most people just look at it and like, oh, cool, it's a full moon. And they name the full moons now, too. You get your strawberry moon. I think there's a beaver moon. There's all kinds of names for the moon. It's an odd size for a moon. according to what we know about solar systems, and that's another thing that fascinates me. On any other planet, a moon would be like a quarter of the size of what we have. In fact, the moon fascinates me so much that I actually wrote a song about it. And the song doesn't really have any lyrics. It's kind of a moody song, if you will. And I'll just play that for you now. The song is called Luna, and it's by yours truly on the Polynation broadcast. I don't do this often, folks, because I feel weird doing it. But since it's that day, I figured I'd throw it out there. It's on my YouTube channel if you want to listen to it anyways. Here it is. Be right back. I've always been fascinated by it. Excuse me, bear with me, folks. Something catastrophic just happened. I think it went out of orbit. Where did it go? I think I pushed the wrong button. My bad. Don't worry, I'll find it. Here it is. I've always been fascinated by it. All its ties and everything. Language. Ties. The timekeeper. It's almost an impossible anomaly compared to the other moons in our solar system. It's been said that it brings them valor. A lunar calendar makes as much, if not more, sense than a solar one. There's talk of time before the moon, that it was brought here, or made here. The craters on the moon are all perfectly round. But what if the craters are formed from within? Like a quickly cooled remnants of a bubble that just burst into life. What if it's hollow because it was melted from the inside out? It would explain the bubble. Whatever it is, I'll always be drawn to it no matter what phase of the cycle it is. Or mine.
What I like about the moon is the sun is up, but you can also still see the moon. At night it's wrapped in light. Why do I think the moon looks bigger when it's closer to the ground? Like it sits low, and it changes positions too.
À Londres, tous les avions du monde reviennent un jour. Tous les avions du monde rentrent un jour au port. Il pleut sur la Tamise. Il pleut sur mes amours. À Londres, tous les avions du monde reviennent un jour. Tous les avions du monde rentrent un jour au port. Il pleut sur la Tamise. Il pleut sur mes amours.
That was London Airport by Francis Lai, and it was remixed by Xavier Jamau. I think that's how you say his name. Yeah, one of the reasons why I think I can get away with putting music on YouTube is because the algorithms don't really know what it is either, and if they do, they notify the creator, and the creator's like, hell yeah, why would I not want it played on something for free? That would be great, so more people can hear it, and then check it out. And maybe sell tickets to their show or something. You know what I mean? Like if... I don't want to say if I was a musician, but if I was a musician, like a working one, that would be like probably the only way I'd be making any money right now is by selling tickets to live shows. Because no one really buys music anymore. As far as I know, there's some of my music's on Spotify. I haven't received any money from them. So, I don't know how it works for everybody else. But I'm assuming it's probably similar. I mean, the really big people probably get I'm guessing probably a one-time fee. Anyways, this has nothing to do with the moon. What am I doing? I wanted to sort of set the stage, some of the things about the moon that fascinate me. A lot of them I learned from Randall Carlson. Talked about him a bunch of times before. But he's just like, I mean, he's got so much knowledge, and it's over different areas. Like, I guess geology includes the moon, but he goes into ancient civilizations and like star alignments, and like I tend to think he just looks at things from a bigger picture. He's not confined to what science teaches or indoctrinates. And so I just want to play this short clip here, kind of to set the stage of how I want to approach looking at the moon. And there's also another reason why it's a special day, but I'll get to that later. Probably not till near the end. So you have to wait and see what that is. Here's Randall Carlson, Polynation Broadcast, groundzeroplus.com. Come over and become a member. You'll find yourself in a chat room. That's what I call the greenhouse. And that's where all the cool kids are hanging out right now. Here's Randall Carlson.
When you start looking at those ratios and those proportions, you get numbers. Right? Those numbers come out, and those numbers can define frequencies. We look at those. We look at these numbers. What are the numbers that are generated out of the relationships of geometric form in space? Well, it also turns out that sacred geometry and the ratios and proportions apply to the measurement not only of space, but to time itself, which now brings us back to a much more, an earlier or archaic model of creation of reality, which is that time is cyclical. The relatively famous metaphor in Ezekiel of wheels within wheels seems to be very apropos in terms of talking about cycles within cycles. And so when I teach sacred geometry, we also look at the timing, the tempo, the rhythms of temporal change and how that may affect life here on Earth. And that was an integral part of the understanding of ancient geometry, was that there is a set of numbers, cosmological numbers, if you will, that apply both to the measurement of space and of time. And so that brings us into a whole other realm of the power of geometry.
And music is geometry for your ears. Polynation broadcast. I'm not broadcasting from the moon. It's a lunar show, but I'm not broadcasting from the moon like last time. That was an experimental broadcast. It happened to work, but I used all of my, let's call it exotic fuel on my time machine when we went back to 1994. So it's going to take me a little bit to get some back. I don't know why I don't just use my time machine, go back and get more and bring it back. I never thought of that. This is why you don't give normal people or non-normal people a time machine. Because they won't know what to do with it. But that's okay, because we don't run out of time. Anyways, there is one thing I wanted to mention about the moon. I think this is maybe common knowledge for people that are into the moon. Don't worry. That siren is not for me. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just talking about the moon. It's all good. And there it goes. Okay. Cool. Live radio this week. So you're going to have to excuse the background noise. It's so hot, I'm not going to close my door. And so noise is going to come through. Hopefully nobody with one of those backfiring cars that literally sound like gunshots. They only seem to happen on the full moon, though. And we don't have to worry about that, because the moon is not full right now. But one thing it can fill is a calendar, where we don't need a fucking leap year. You can just have 13 months, 28 days, all of them the same. Boom, done. Bob's your uncle. Easy. I think that's what we used to do. But the math works out. Don't ask me how. I'm not a mathematician. Some of the sacred geometry math I can kind of do, but once I do more of it, I'll probably just memorize that. That's how I do math. I just memorize the most common equations. I'm good at quick math as long as it's simple. So we're coming up to the top of the hour here at groundzeroplus.com. And we're live every weekend from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturdays and Sundays. This is the Polynation broadcast. I'm your host, Paul Sinclair. We're talking about the moon. We're not broadcasting from it. Who knows? Maybe we'll do another broadcast from the moon. Chris really had to, pull some strings to pull that one off. So I don't know. He's pretty busy, and he's already doing such a great job. I don't want to put more on his plate, if you know what I'm saying. So we'll have to wait and see. Also, Elon's not talking to me still since that whole thing. I think maybe I'll just play some more tunes until these houses either burn down or these people actually just, put their differences aside and walk away from each other, maybe. I don't know what's going on out here. I live next to a golf course, but it's in the middle of the city, so imagine trying to play golf in that. It wouldn't make a difference for me. I'm not that good. Here's Seem to Take. You're listening to Ground Zero Plus, Polynation broadcast. This is a band called Cuff.
Take
The song is called Empathica by Hexiv. Polynesian Broadcast, groundzeroplus.com. One of the most interesting quotes about the moon that came from somebody at NASA. Who know? I can't remember who it was. You can look it up. You probably all know what I'm talking about. When they hit it with something, it rang like a bell. And as I said before, I don't think it's hollow like a basketball or a tennis ball or a dodgeball. Thankfully, it's not a dodgeball. And given what I've been told about the ratios and numbers that happen between the moon and the Earth and the people living on the Earth thousands of years ago, I think when they say that it's hollow, it's more like tunnels, like lava tubes, I guess, for lack of a better description. And okay, let's back up a bit. There's a relationship between the Earth and the Moon and the pyramids that is really, really weird. It's sacred geometry. So, without getting into like perimeters, diameters, and areas and all that kind of confusing stuff, I think I will try to explain this in a way that you can visualize it so that it makes sense no matter how much you know about geometry. Because this does not happen by accident. It either happens by a law or it was constructed by somebody who knows these laws. So here, okay, I'll try to explain it. If you're looking at the Earth from really far away and you draw a line through the middle of it, horizontally, that's the equator. Okay. Now, an equilateral triangle is a triangle that has 3 equal length sides. So, from that equator, as the base, draw an equilateral triangle around the top half of the Earth. Now you're going to be left with a space between the top of the Earth and that triangle that you just drew. That space is almost perfectly the radius of the Moon. Like, seriously? And then, okay, you take that same triangle, that exact same triangle, before we even did any comparisons to the Moon, just take that triangle and do a 1 to 432,000 reduction. Like, have you ever done like models where it says, oh, it's a 1 in 100 ratio, it's like a 100th of the actual size? The pyramids are exactly 432,000 to 1 ratio. I think it's in feet. Or maybe it's miles. It's one of those things. One of those older units of measurement. Okay, so that's how significant and numerically connected and like ratio connected the Moon is to the Earth. And it doesn't seem to happen anywhere else in the galaxy that we can see, that we've seen so far. At least that's what they're telling us. All the other moons are way smaller. Even the bigger planets have smaller moons. So, they have many of them too. We only have one. And it's weird. Why is it that big? It's the perfect size to block out the sun. Come on, really? Either it's a law, sacred geometry, or, and maybe I shouldn't dichotomize this, or it was man-made. Or maybe not man-made, but something made it. Made it that distance, that size, everything about it. So, okay, knowing all of this, that famous quote, going back to rang like a bell. What if, and this is totally hypothetical, just spitballing here, I guess you could say. What if these lava tubes are causing it to ring like a bell, not unlike how any stringed instrument does the same thing? And what if there's parts of the Moon that have been purposely hollowed out to resonate those frequencies and amplify them, kind of like the shape of a guitar or a violin or even a drum? What if somehow these so-called lava tubes are exactly at the right length, at the right angle, to make it appear as if the moon rang like a bell. I think that's more likely. And also, I think it's probably unlikely that they were made by lava. I've heard stories that the moon was actually made here on Earth and then raised up into the sky. But what do I know? I don't know anything, that's what I'm saying. But I like thinking about this stuff. And, well, let's hear what Randall Carlson has to say about lava tubes on the moon.
I think we've learned as I've been putting out information on the moon, one of the things that I've emphasized was the discovery of the gigantic lava tubes, which have access to the surface of the moon. I mean, it's almost as if the structure of the moon has made ready access for us very convenient to the inside of the moon. So that's one of the things that I'm really super interested in learning more about with return missions to the moon is some of these, I mean, they've been referred to almost as skylights. Okay, well, think of a skylight. Skylight is in a roof, and then there's a room below that skylight, right? What happens if we go into that? What are we going to find in there? That, to me, is really an interesting question.
Polynation Broadcast, GroundZeroPlus.com, live every weekend, 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That last song was A Man and His Cocoon by Smushy. I've never heard of them either. It could be AI. It's quite possible. But, I mean, at this point, I can still hear AI. I could probably see a human putting that song together, but using a lot of old school computer gear. Something still sounds different about AI to me. You just have to listen to how they speak. The music's getting off the charts. It's hard to tell. But the videos and the speech behind the videos, to me, that's still not obvious, but if you listen carefully, you can hear it. It's not a natural cadence, and sometimes pronunciation. They F that up a lot. Especially if it's a word that English is borrowing from another language. Anyways. What's that got to do with the moon? Absolutely nothing. So I've been told in the greenhouse, over here at GroundZeroPlus.com, when you become a member, you get access to the greenhouse, and all the cool people hang out in here. And this is why I love this greenhouse. It was suggested that I read books by Christopher Knight and Alan Butler. And from the description they gave, and they is Mitch, by the way. Thank you, Mitch. Mitch is here almost every week. It's amazing. Drops funny gifs. Well, it turns out these two authors have some pretty cool theories on the moon. And in the sort of brief description that we got into in the greenhouse, it seems to me like the people that I'm getting this information from have probably already read these books. And so it's really good to, in my opinion, it's good to go back to the source. Like, how are all these people talking about the same stuff? Oh, it's because they all read this one book. And then you get to that book, and then you go, how did they even think about going into this subject? There must have been something else there. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything is influenced by something. So it would be really interesting to see how far back that goes. I do know there's Aboriginal legends of a time before the moon. And there's legends, I think, might be the Dogon, but I'm not positive, that the moon was actually assembled here and shoved up into the exact right place on the exact right spin, the exact right orbit, the exact right distance. Well, if you know all of that, then theoretically you could probably build something as impressive as the moon, right? I don't know. I can't rule it out. And the moon also has a huge influence on astrology. I'm not going to get into that yet, because this is where I've talked about this before. There's different kinds of astrology. I happen to think that sidereal makes the most sense because you look up in the sky and it's the same as where everything is. Whereas Western, Vedic, and tropical are not like that. So let's say, and this is really, really prevalent when it comes to looking at where the moon is, because the moon travels around all the zodiacs every month. So it goes into different zodiacs, like every month there's a full moon in a different... Well, some in sidereal, you could possibly have 2 months of a full moon in a very large constellation like Pisces or Scorpio. But it makes a difference apparently in the influences of the other planets. It's a key role in zodiacal sidereal astronomy. And that means just looking at the sky, which is, think about it, before all these lights were down here, like lighting up all the roads and everybody's houses and apartments and all the other lights that are everywhere in cities around the world. If you are in one of those cities and you look up, you'll see some stars, yeah, but you won't see what they saw before we had all that. And if you saw the detail, and you know what, I'm assuming here, because I'm sure some of you have been out in really remote places, and one of the first things you tell people when you come back from those remote places is, you wouldn't believe the stars. It's so common. And it's really weird because any of the footage I've ever seen of low Earth orbit from the space station, you can't see any stars. It's weird. You'd think you'd be able to see more stars. So I don't know what's going on there. It might be a photography thing that I'm not aware of. I hope it's not, because I've been taking pictures since I was 14 years old. But anyways, I wanted to shout this tune, this next tune. I hope it plays properly. My computer seems to be chugging lately. But it's it kind of fits in. You need a rocket to get to the moon. So here's Rocket Man on the Polynation broadcast.
It's gonna be all this science I don't understand. It's just my job 5 days a week. A rocket man. A rocket man. I think it's gonna be a long, long time. Touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man that think I am at all.
It's the Polynation broadcast. We're live. If you're listening live. We're gonna hang on to that Luna Lounge song. Appropriate that I would pick a Luna Lounge song. They're almost in every set list now. One of my favorite bands. Shout out to Luna Lounge. They don't mind if I play them on YouTube, because they're not snobby like that. Because a lot of times YouTube gives the creator the choice of whether or not to take action. And if they say, meh, we don't care, then YouTube doesn't care. I don't know, maybe the mark of a genuine creator of music that doesn't really care about, making money, I guess. Which is, it sounds weird that people wouldn't care about making money, but there are those people. Especially when it comes to their art. There's I can't remember where. I think it's in South America. There's a tribe. They make art, and then they throw it off a cliff. Sometimes they set it on fire, and then they throw it off a cliff. Because they know they're going to make more, right? I don't know. Some artists think that the best art you haven't made yet. Anyways, let's get back to the moon. Okay, a lot of sacred geometry things going around in the greenhouse here over at groundzeroplus.com. If you're a member, you're in the chat room. That's the greenhouse. And a lot of people understand the significance of sacred geometry in this chat room, which is really cool because that means I don't have to explain so much. But here's something you maybe didn't know. It's maybe a bit trivial, and maybe it doesn't really matter that much, but sacred geometry has infiltrated America's greatest pastime. What is that, you might say? Well, some people in the greenhouse may not realize what America's greatest pastime is, but it's baseball. Now, I'm not a huge fan of sports in general, unless it's F1, NASCAR, or the Indy, which by the way is going on in Toronto, probably as we speak. So I'll have to check who won that. So the Indy League, Formula One. I like anything racing, like extreme motocross, endurocross, downhill mountain biking. But all the other, like the mainstream sports, like football, baseball, I guess hockey. Canadians are going to kick my ass after saying that. I just kind of feel like it's fixed, some of it. Anyways, if there's a ref or a judge involved, unless it's UFC, then I'm not really... I get my suspicions, let's put it that way. But the sacred geometry is everywhere. The moon, in my opinion, is probably the most glaring piece of evidence that sacred geometry, there's something there. I'm not claiming to know what it is that's there, but what I do know is that it's everywhere. It's not just the moon. It's the sun. It's the galaxy. The solar system. It's everywhere. Why is it everywhere? So check this out. This is a bit longer of a clip than usual that I'd like to do here, but there's some interesting things that I think some people might, take away from this and have, in their back pocket when they want a useless piece of trivia about the moon. They can pull these little factoids out, and you'll only get them here on the Polynation broadcast, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but you're here, so here it is.
Well, today is 9/9, so maybe that points us back to the moon, or a little moon teaser at least.
Oh yeah.
9/9, yeah. And the symbolic interest or significance of the number 9. Yes, 9. Well, let's see. We find 9 in some sports, don't we?
Sure do.
Golf.
Of course we do, yeah. Golf.
Whole lot of baseball.
Of course, baseball.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we could break down either one of those two sports because they're both very saliently symbolical once you look at them. Right?
Oh, yeah. Lunar connections.
Yeah, obviously, lunar connections. Baseball. Okay, so how many stitches on a baseball, on a official league ball? Kyle?
72?
No, well, you're the man. You're the
144.
2/3 of the way.
Oh, I'm not supposed to guess. I'm supposed to look this up.
Well, I was told at the outset of this that was your job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kyle also doubles as the watcher.
According to an article found on www.roanoke.edu, the baseball is hand-stitched together with 216 raised stitches using 88 inches of red cotton thread.
Okay, so
there are 108 double stitches on an MLB baseball.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go. 108 double stitches. So you got 108 and 216, right?
Yeah.
And the diameter of the moon, very, very close in miles, is 2,160 miles.
Yeah.
So there's your link right there. The first link of many. So how many feet between home plate and first base, Kyle?
Oh man, I'm gonna make this take
90.
too long.
I thought it was 90 feet. I don't know.
It is 90 feet.
Yeah, 90
thank
feet.
you, Russ.
I used to
90
play
feet,
baseball.
yeah. And so then how many inches does that give us?
Ooh,
90 times 12. Come on, calculator.
1,440.
No,
I don't know.
no, you got to work on your math skills, Russ.
I can't math.
1,080.
Okay.
1,080. Now, here we got to pause for a minute and think about this. So you have a ratio going on here, right? The distance from home plate to the center of home plate to the center of first base, and likewise because it's a square, right? So it's 1,080 inches from first to second, from second to third, from third back to home plate. So now you've got this distance divided into these 1,080 increments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you think about the ratio of the moon and the moon to the mile. You have the radius of the moon, which is a ratio. 1,080 increments defines the radius of the moon. See that? So,
yep.
Yeah. And so now, if from the distance from home plate to first base, from first base to second base, is going to be 2,160 inches, and the full distance around is going to be 4,320. So interestingly, just purely by coincidence, it doesn't mean a damn thing, but these are exactly the Vedic numbers, the numbers that the whole Vedic system of cosmology is built upon. And
right.
I'm not maintaining that that's anything other than pure coincidence.
Coincidence takes planning, as Mike says.
As somebody said.
They're all processional numbers.
Yes, because the Vedic numbers are processional numbers. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the whole. Yes. So you've got the cosmological numbers of the Vedas, and just by some quirk, they end up in the sport of baseball. In terms of the dimensional relationships.
And they all add up to 9 also.
Yes.
Yeah, which is one of the peculiar, interesting properties of the number 9, that any multiple of itself ultimately reduces back to the single digit 9.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. In other words, all those numbers are divisible by 9.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. 2 plus 1 plus 6 is 9. 1 plus 8 is 9. 4 plus 3 plus 2 is 9.
Right. Yeah. It's like the numbers that are divisible by 9 into equal increments. You can also add in the individual digits of those numbers up to get 9.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's weird. Yeah.
Or you can eventually reduce it down to 9 by doing that.
Right. If you keep adding them up, you eventually get 9. Yeah.
That process has sometimes been called Kabbalistic reduction, where you take a number and reduce it to a single digit. And if it's a larger number, you may have to go through several stages of reduction.
Right.
To ultimately resolve it to a single digit. But yeah, so like 432, or 432 multiplied by, raised by the power of 10 times 3, 10 to the third power, you got the number of years in the Kali Yuga, 432,000. Raised by 10 to the second power, you have 43,200, which is the number of half the number of seconds in a solar cycle, in a diurnal cycle. So if you can pinpoint, which you can, I mean, you could literally pinpoint the equinox down to a mere fraction of a second, right? But if you do that, if you can pinpoint the equinox down to less than 1 second, because it is literally, I think, like we talked about last week, just a moment in time.
Yeah.
Which could be reduced to something almost infinitesimal, but still have just a little bit of duration. But let's say significantly less than 1 second, right? Then at that moment, there are 40, with respect to that moment, there are 43,200 seconds of dark and 43,200 seconds of light. You see, for that moment, on that one spot where that moment would occur. See, in the diurnal rotation of the Earth on its axis. So it is built right into the astronomical, the way, and you know. So the question is, again, it's purely coincidence. We don't attribute any meaning whatsoever to this, right?
Well, and the mind blower to me, though, is that also that I guess there's some variability, but the radius of the sun is 432,000 miles.
Yeah, so if you measure the radius of the sun in miles, you get the same number as years in the Kali Yuga, which is the basis for the system of yugas and kalpas from the Vedas. So the Dwapara Yuga, which is twice the Kali Yuga, is 864,000, right?
Yeah.
And then,
and what makes that weird is because, like, at first you could say, well, it's based on the mile, like those are all divisions of the mile, right? The sun is that many miles in its radius. But then when you look how they arrived at the mile, and you're like, wait, no, that's still based on all these geometric links between all these bodies. So,
well, see, and that's the thing. You don't know. I mean, who knows really what was the origin of the mile?
Right.
It goes back. I mean, you know, you can make assumptions about historical assumptions, but then you can go back and find what appears to be the usage of the mile, even back in the laying out of Stonehenge.
Yeah.
And we could do an analysis of that at some point too, to see how that works out.
Write that one down.
Those same numbers. See,
the other thing is that the
See, America, you're not stupid for not letting go of the mile. It's a critical unit of measurement. And it's in baseball. Guess how many inches are in a mile? Yeah, there's a calculator out there. I'll let you look it up. I'll bet you, if you look at how many inches are in a mile, and then you do what one of the guests on this little podcast here was, by the way, it's an old Randall Carlson podcast he used to do called, what was it called? Oh, it was just on the Randall Carlson YouTube channel. I thought it was called something. Oh, it was called Cosmographia. I'm pretty sure it's one of those episodes from like 2 years ago. And was the mile invented or was the mile discovered? Because it seems like when you apply these numbers not only to geography, geometry, the distances between planetary objects, galaxies, but the same numbers show up in music too. What's going on there? Why is there this whole thing about music that's 432? Well, I've looked into that, and there is a difference. The music that's what we used to tune all of our musical instruments to was the frequency of 432, and that would be the A, concert A, 432. Why is it that number? Why is that number everywhere? It's in the moon even. I don't know why it's everywhere. But the Beatles even had a song on the White Album, and apparently if you played it backwards, you got some crazy messages about Paul McCartney. But the song was called just number 9 or Revolution number 9, and it was a really weird song. I don't think it ever got played on the radio. Maybe I'll look it up. YouTube will probably ban it, but that's okay. It's a short song. Maybe I'll look that up. The number 9. What's with that number? Not to sound like Jerry Seinfeld, but what's with that? The number 9. Why is that number everywhere? It's even in the moon. I don't get it. If anybody knows, feel free to inform me. I will likely have questions. But, I don't know. It's just weird. And that Kabbalistic reduction math, I don't like to call it that. I like to call it vortex math. Because a vortex spins around and keeps getting narrower and narrower. And that's what you do with these numbers. Especially when you add them all up, they equal a double-digit number. Then you add those two numbers together, you'll find 9. Or 3 or 6. Anybody ever wonder why Nikola Tesla was so obsessed with those 3 numbers? Well, I think this is probably scratching the surface of why. I just don't know how to put all these pieces together. So, I'm constantly going to be fascinated. It's like a chess game that never ends. And hanging out at the greenhouse at groundzeroplus.com often gives me different perspectives, i.e. today. Mitch suggested 2 authors I've never even heard of before, and they've written extensively on the moon and its origins, and possible other theories as to where its origins originate. Look up that word, originate. One thing I don't actually say enough is that I have a strange fascination with the origin of words, because English is like the recreation of the Babylonian language in ways, metaphorically speaking. It's one of the reasons why it's I think the second hardest language to learn in the world, next to Mandarin. I think Mandarin's the hardest. Maybe that's changed. I wonder if languages have competitions to see who's harder to learn, so you can feel like superior to other people because you know this language and it's impossible to learn. I've often felt like looked down upon because I only speak one language, and many times the people I'm speaking to speak more than one language, sometimes like 5 or 6, and they look at me as if I'm intellectually inferior because I'm not capable of communicating in that many languages. Well, maybe not, but I can see the fucking moon. And I know what time it is. And you know what time it is? It's time for Rhythm Reactor by the Luna Lounge and the Polynation broadcast, groundzeroplus.com. Come on in, become a member, support the platform, and support the show by coming in the greenhouse. Be back in a minute. Alright, I'm gonna play a little bit of a longer song right now. It's called Moon Building 2703 AD by The Orb. Now's a good time to go get a drink, maybe spin one up, maybe step outside for a PPP. Imagine moon building in 2703 AD. You're in the middle of moon building by the orb. This is the Polynation broadcast. You got about 12 minutes to get your butts down here in the greenhouse over here at groundzeroplus.com. Become a member, support the platform, support the show, show up in the greenhouse, and let me know you care. And if you're just listening, which I know at least one of you is, hang on a minute. I got something to say about that.
The interesting thing that Jeff Bezos, he's really behind the O'Neill concept, which space cylinders. Interestingly, there's some new ideas that have come out through computer modeling showing ideal geometries for free-floating habitats, and it turns out that they're pretty much derivative of some of the geometric principles we've inherited from olden times. And I think that's ultimately where we're going to find a really mind-expanding expression of the concepts of sacred geometry when they're applied to cosmic art.
It's a Polynation broadcast. This is Not This Time by Eddie C. and Kieta Sano. GroundZeroPlus.com. 5 more minutes. It's the Polynation broadcast. You're listening live on groundzeroplus.com or maybe TalkStream Live. Sometimes we like to house it up in here. I don't know. I'm not proud of the fact that I like house music, but I love it. I love it a lot. And I know some of you do too. As long as it's not constant. Because I can understand why people find it annoying. It's like a baby crying on a plane or a dog barking at 3 a.m. Anyways, that's not what we're here to stop the show for. It's 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're live. And what we do here is we stop the show and shout out the greenhouse over here at groundzeroplus.com. When you become a member, you get in the chat room. And the chat room is the greenhouse. And there is a way to change your chat bubble to a shade of green by clicking on the icon that kind of looks like a little cartoon paintbrush. And when you do that, you let everybody else know on the Ground Zero Plus, I guess we'll call it a network, that you're a fan of the Polynation show. It's kind of an inside, I guess, a little bit of a joke. Kinda. Makes me giggle. Anyways, we stick up for ourselves. And we look out for ourselves. And in here today, in the Polynation Greenhouse, we have Ground Zero Plus. That's Chris. Good to see you, bud. We got Mike Mont, brother Mike. Oh, Ground Zero Plus also joined Discord. That's cool. Good to have you in Discord. Mike Mont, another Discord brother. Mitch Durbin. Are you in Discord? I don't know if you are. If you're not, you're welcome. Come on by. I'll drop a link later. Or someone else will. Mitch Durbin. Loyal listener. Datsun Focus is in there. And this dude... Dats, I'm sorry, bro. But I guess, like, being sober makes you want to work. Is that, like, to distract yourself? Because 144 hours in 1 week, that's like... You know, I mean, it's impressive for once, but for twos, it's, I don't, like, what? Do you have to work that much? Wow, man. I mean, it's great that you do. But wow, that's a lot of hours in 1 week. Most people do a, 40-hour week. You did 100 and, well, maybe that's 2 weeks, but still, that's 2 60-hour 70-hour weeks. Whatever. Anyways, you're a machine, dude. And always here listening, too. How do you have time? We got Sunspots in there. Good to see you, my friend. We have Lisa. Hope you had a good visit. We've got Zero. Hey, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a bit. Maybe you were here yesterday. But good to see you back. We got Miss B, Barbani. And thanks to you for that recommendation. And I'll talk to you off the air about that song selection, because there's some things about it that, well, not only raise an eyebrow. I know why that song's good and why you have a sentimental value to that song. And sentimental values to songs are not uncommon, especially people that listen to music the same way that most of the people that do in the greenhouse do. But yeah, I'd be curious to pick your brain off the air. Mad Catter, good to see you again. And Brother Rich Smith, another Discord brother. Thanks for joining us today. It's been a lunar show. I almost said stellar. It's been a lunar show. And, one more shout out before I forget. Today is July 20th, the anniversary of the moon landing. And for that reason, it has been impossible to forget one of the most oldest friends that I have in the universe. Their birthday happens to be on the same day. So Hez, if you're listening, and I'm pretty sure you might be, happy birthday. You're still younger than me. And I hope you like those orb songs, because they were for you. Happy birthday again. I'm not going to say how old you are, because I already know. And don't you dare call that bluff. So thanks again, everybody in the greenhouse. If anybody's got any, like, weird... okay. More weird moon stuff in the greenhouse. Anybody got any? Like, people plant crops based on the moon. And then there's the people that build pyramids that are aligned with the moon. And then there's the people that build just dirt mounds in the shape of snakes and stuff that align perfectly with the moon and the sun and everything else. And pretty sure the moon is a significant thing that we know. We think we know so much about it, but I don't think we really know what it is, why it's there, how it got there, if it's artificial, who put it there, and a whole bunch of other things. Like, why don't other planets have a moon like ours? I don't know. Maybe you have to be a certain distance away from the sun for your planet to be able to produce moons. Oh, I should mention, Amber was in the chat room earlier. I saw you, Amber. Don't worry, I saw you. And Amber, also an OG supporter of the Greenhouse. Longtime listener and fellow audiophile. She mentioned that we keep discovering moons around Jupiter, and not saying that we don't, but where my brain goes is, well, maybe Jupiter just makes moons. I mean, it's huge. Maybe it's kind of like spits out moons like babies. And maybe like 1,000,000 years from now, Jupiter will be a sun and there'll be a whole other solar system around Jupiter. Or something like that. I don't know. I'm thinking outside of the lunar orbit here, I guess you could say. So we do have just over about 30 minutes left, and it is Sunday, which is bittersweet, because that means I won't see you till next week. And, well, who knows what's going to happen in the coming week. But I'll tell you this. We will have a new moon by the end of this week. And also, keep an earthquake eye open. And I'll come back. Actually, you know what? I'll come back and talk about the earthquake eye. Because there's a pretty cool thing happening on the sun right now. It's not going to affect us for another couple days, but I'll save that. I'll come back, play a few more tunes. You're listening to the Polynation Broadcast. It's groundzeroplus.com. It's the only place where you can hear the show live. If you miss it, I will post it on my YouTube channel, which can be found if you type in the number 1 before you type in Polynation. You should be able to find it that way. I'll post both yesterday's show and today's show on that channel as soon as my computer permits. I need serious upgrades on my computer. I'm still running Windows 10 here, folks. I'm surprised this podcast is still even running. Anyways, here's, you know what? Perfect song. Life is a Gift by Human Dimension on the Polynation Broadcast, groundzeroplus.com.
by the same destiny. We need each other to reach happiness. That is love. This reminds me that life, as we know it, is a gift. Reminds me that life, as we know it, is a gift.
Hey, you know what? I just had a question come into my mind. Is life really a gift?
As we know it is a gift.
Like this guy says, life as we know it is a gift. Is it really a gift, or is it a result of sacred geometry? A side effect, if you will. Not claiming to know, just asking the question. This is Recursion by the way, May. Polynation Broadcast, groundzeroplus.com. Warning, this song may have foul language, but only if you speak Spanish.
Este cuerpo que sigue mi sombra. Debo salir de una ciudad cuartelada. Gigantes de polvo y piedra. Sueño navegando las cloacas, ideas cuadradas empaquetadas en toda manzana. El triunfo de la era industrial, el último capital, la muerte del gran imperio. Una mera, un patio interior donde la sombra no cesa. Un alma de sal materita del frío. No encuentra un respiro, la luz abandonó el valle. Santiago su cordillera magnánima. Picos nevados emergen de la oscuridad. ¿Quién chucha dejó la puerta del refri abierta?
So I don't speak Spanish. So if you get offended, I didn't know I was doing it. Hee.
El valle triste se transformó y tú no tuviste más remedio que cambiar. Las avenidas y sus calles interiores se encontraban vacías. ¿Dónde está el mundo ahora? ¿Dónde está el mundo ahora? Por omisión, por obligación, por inercia de nuestras pequeñas vidas sobrecargadas. Como el petróleo que aún mueve un sistema de coordenadas, guerras, exterminios y marejadas. Quiero hundirme en ti, palomita. Quiero despertar del mal sueño y llegar finalmente donde está la aurora. Lavarme en el río, soltar todo ese peso. La mochila de piedras, tantas tormentas. A eso que a uno mal arranca con todo miedo y insistencia, que termina finalmente encontrando.
Okay, here's the question for you. It's the Polynesian broadcast. Got about 15 minutes left. Chilling, talking about the moon. It's been a lunar heavy broadcast today. But I got a question. How come Mexico doesn't have a space program? Or like Finland, or I don't know, name a country that doesn't have a space program that you feel like it should. How come they're all missing? I mean, we've got, okay, these are the space programs that I know about. Maybe there's like 10 more. But we've got the European one. We've got the Russian one. We've got NASA. We've got India. I think we have Iran. And did I say China? Maybe I did. I think North Korea, probably, but funded by China. So 6 or 7 so far. Canada, we're kind of just coattailing off the U.S., to be honest. And maybe behind the scenes coattailing off China. Who knows? I still think we should threaten to join BRICS. Just to see what Trump does. He would turn white. Orange man turn white. If Canada threatens to join BRICS. That's what I gotta say about that. We'll wait till a full moon before we try that, though. If you know what I mean. So, how come how come Brazil hasn't gone to the moon? I mean, even the countries that have a legit space program, according to what they're telling us, no one else has gone to the moon, at least with humans, since the US did it almost 50 fucking years ago. And we never sent anyone back? I don't know. There's some moon landing photographs that don't make sense to me, looking at it from a photography perspective. And I get why, perhaps, they couldn't bring back actual photographs from the moon based on the technology that was available at the time, which was film. Film that you have to bring back, put in a dark room, develop, and then make pictures. Well, that kind of film, what do you have, a heater and a complete gold-lined lead box around your camera so you can take pictures? I doubt it. I don't think film is going to do very well in space, is what I'm saying. So, walking around on the moon with a camera and shooting pictures like they're Polaroids is probably not logically practical or possible, knowing what I know about how film is developed. It doesn't work that way. It's not just light that you have to worry about. If light hits your film after you've taken a picture, your picture is screwed. But if cosmic rays hit your film, and they can go through all kinds of materials, you're just as screwed. So they had to fake some of the photographs. They just had to. It doesn't mean they didn't go. Do I think they went? I think they did. But I think they don't have any footage of it because the filming technology probably wasn't good enough to bring anything of real significance back. Or they brought something back that they couldn't tell anybody on Earth because of its significance, if you catch my drift. And why haven't we gone back? Oh, but we're going back. We've been saying that for decades. So, apparently, 2026, we're going back to the moon. Okay, fine, let's go. Let's do this. Let's get to the moon and really, get in there. Maybe find these lava tubes. Because if you're gonna do a base on the moon, you have to do it underground. Because the atmosphere isn't going to protect you from the sun. And unfortunately, the sun, notably, is the giver of all life. But if you're not on the Earth, it will take your life away in a second. Because the side of you that's facing the sun is plus 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And the side that's facing away from the sun is minus 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Imagine that happening instantaneously. I don't even know what would happen. I feel like it might be like some kind of one of those chemical reactions where it's like you just poof into a big cloud of steam and then disappear. Because one side's an ice cube and the other side's an ember, and you just cancel each other out in a split second. We're talking absolute zero here. So being underground on the moon, probably your best bet for survival. Maybe these tunnels were put there for a reason. Maybe the moon always faces us for a reason. By the way, the moon is spinning. It's just spinning very slowly, perfectly, so that we always see the same side. Also, interestingly, the moon has been hit by sizable cosmic impacts that have caused its mass to not be symmetrical. So it turns out the side that's facing us actually has more gravitational mass, which may explain why it's locked that way. But also, is that accidental or is that architecture? Who knows? We'll never know. Or maybe like maybe these kind of questions get answered after you die. But after you die, are these questions really relevant? Who knows? Just under 10 minutes left on the Polynation broadcast. I would like to leave you with some music. This one's called Moon Landing by Deviu. And for those listening out there in the greenhouse and beyond, thank you for listening and tuning in every weekend from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on GroundZeroPlus.com. If you're not a member yet, it's never too late. And if you know somebody that doesn't know about the show, it's still never too late. Spread the word and stay bright, and I'll see you next week, folks. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Sinclair, and I will see you next week. Or around in the chat room at GroundZeroPlus.com.
Oil samples were to be collected, photographs taken, experiments set up to catch unfiltered particles from the sun, to record moonquakes, to measure precisely by laser beam reflection the exact distance between moon and Earth.
It has a stark beauty all its own. It's very pretty out here.